Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, September 18th regular board meeting of the Clay Township Board. The first order of business is Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary Eckert will not be here for the first time in 7 years that I can remember. She's on a real vacation, so she will not be here this evening. Up next is approval of minutes from August 28th.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
I will second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Carries 2-0. Do we have any public comments? Seeing none. Public hearing on the 2019 proposed budget. Do we open that up, Doug?
Yeah, you need to.
Meeting is opened at 6:01 p.m. Seeing and hearing no comments.
I move to close the public hearing on the 2019 proposed budget.
Meeting is closed at 6:02 p.m. Information items. I see Mr. Klitzing and Mr. Baumgartner here with the Parks Department. If you would please speak on your proposed budget.
Members of the board, thank you very much for the opportunity to present the 2019 Parks budget. Sorry for the feedback.
Well, we're getting it too.
Sounds, no. Budget, we're requesting $2,950,000. $2.5 million of it is for Central Park, which would be for the 111th Street enhancement project, the entrance there, the roundabout, as well as some upgrades to the parking lots in front of the Monon Community Center and the water park, as well as for a new trailhead along the Monon Greenway, just north of the building. As you are likely aware, last November we closed the entrances off of the Monon Trail into the building as part of our security and entrance enhancement projects. A number of people did use the building as a effective trailhead for restrooms and stuff. So as opposed to compromising the security of the building, what we're looking to do is build a new trailhead similar to what we have at 96th Street or Aurora Road to serve as a trailhead in Central Park that will serve all of the Monon Trail users as well as visitors to the park not using the Monon Community Center. So we're in design of that right now and look to start construction next year. We have $190,000 budgeted for the Monon Community Center for capital replacements, things like fitness equipment replacements, an upgrade to the kiddie pool slide feature, as well as maybe some shade structure additions to provide a more comfortable environment within the water park during the summer season. And then the balance, $260,000, is for park system capital maintenance, including equipment replacements, things within the maintenance department, as well as hazard tree removal, which is something that has been a huge item for us with the emerald ash borer that has decimated trees throughout the community and throughout the state. Mm-hmm. Any questions on the capital budget?
No, sir.
All
No,
right.
sir.
A quick overview of the operating budget. Total operating expenses for Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation for 2019 are projected at $13,789,340. Revenue, that was expenses, excuse me. Total revenues, $10,379,735. So our budgeted cost recovery is 75%. Our budget does factor in 100% cost recovery for the Monon Community Center, the Extended Skill Enrichment Program, as well as for our recreation facilities, which includes the dog park, Wilfong Pavilion in Founders Park, and new in 2019, the pavilion that's going to be opening up in West Park. Just as a reference point, in 2017, the park system received 84% cost recovery in our operating budgets, and we've averaged just under 82% since 2010, which is the first year the Monon Community Center was at 100% cost recovery. As a benchmark, according to the National Recreation and Park Association on a survey they did in 2017, the average park system receives only 29% cost recovery. So 84% for us, 29% for park systems around the country on average. Our operating budget for 2019 incorporates several new amenities and features. West Park the Groves, which is the old Perlman property. We've started the expansion into that, which is undergoing now. That includes a new roughly 10,000 square foot facility, which will be providing summer camps and other recreation programs in, as well as a small playground and a little bit of an expansion of the trails within West Park. Also includes, like I said, operations for the new trailhead the latter part of the year in Central Park, as well as assumption of maintenance responsibilities for the Monon Boulevard, which the city is doing in the Midtown and Arts and Design District.
And when is that completion?
I haven't received an update since CRC is leading that project, but the last I was told to expect opening around July 2019.
Okay.
Going a little bit deeper into the specific operating budgets, the general fund, our tax budget is proposed at $3,471,095. That's a 9% increase from our current year budget, or $289,727. 54% of that increase is attributable specifically to the Monon Boulevard. So we're looking to add one full-time maintenance employee that's specifically dedicated to that area. It really is more than just a trail. It's an urban park and has some incredible amenities that the city's adding there. But it's going to be at a much higher level than, say, a West Park or a Founders Park, more to the level that we have to do within the water park. So it's the highest level of maintenance that we'll have to do within the park system. So it definitely will need one full-time park maintenance technician. It's also supplemented with a little over 1,000 hours of part-time maintenance crews too. So, and those fluctuate depending on the time of the year. Obviously, warmer months, more staff; cooler months, not as many. The rest of the budget is predominantly related to cost of living factors, inflationary factors within the budget for the increase. But that pretty much is a high-level summary of the general fund, if you have any questions.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Moving on to the Extended School Enrichment Fund 108, revenues are projected at $4,293,535. Expenses at $4,191,190 for projected cost recovery of 102%. Pretty much all of the revenue is either from before and after school fees, 69%, or summer camp fees, 30%. The rest is interest earned on the account. Looking at our top 5 expenses, 72% of the expenses are for personnel, which includes 27 full-time employees and roughly 150 part-time employees. 6% is for field trips and bus rentals. That includes admissions into the water park. Every time the summer camps visit the water park, they actually do pay the group admission rate. So we are receiving income off of every camper that visits us within our own programs. 5% for other professional fees, which includes payment processing fees, payroll fees, and bookkeeping services, most notably. Food supplies represents 4% of the budget. That's snacks that we provide during the before and after school program that are purchased directly from the school district and comply with their food standards for nutritional value. And then 3% of the ESE expenses are for program supplies, things like arts and crafts and all the things that are required to make the program run for the kids to stay occupied. Together, those top 5 expenses represent 90% of the total expenses. This is actually our 13th, or will represent the 2018-2019 school year. The one that just started this August is the 13th year of the program, and it has been self-sufficient since day number 1. Any questions on ESE?
No, Michael, but
Yes, sir.
it's not on. Oh, you must be. That's still not on. I hear you. You can? Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to mention something. My granddaughter goes to the after school at Forestdale.
Sure.
And I have to tell you, they are great in the way they handle the kids and when the parents come in. I mean, I have to wait for them to let me in and ask my ID, you know, and I went there a few times, but that's the kind of job that they're doing out there, and I really appreciate that.
Our staff does a wonderful job with the before and after school program. Our site supervisor out at Forestdale is Valeska Simmons. She's been with us since almost the inception of the program, and she runs a phenomenal program out there, as do the site supervisors at all the locations. But Valeska does a phenomenal job out there.
Just let them know that I appreciate it.
Oh, most
I
definitely.
really
Be
do.
happy to do so. We actually serve roughly 1,200 kids a day. We have over 2,400 kids participating in the program, but on a daily basis, we have about 1,200 kids that we're serving each day. So it's a pretty phenomenal and pretty large program. Moving on to the Monon Community Center, Fund 109. Revenues are projected at $6,086,200. Expenses at $6,045,435. Total cost recovery projection is 101%. Looking at our top 5 revenues, 61% of the revenues are projected to come from memberships, which includes annual, monthly, and seasonal passes. 18% from day and 10 punch passes. The vast majority of that is related to daily admissions through the water park. 9% from recreation programs, so that's our preschool, youth, adult, and wellness programs. And that includes the few contracted programs that we offer. But the vast majority of the programs that we offer at the Monon Community Center are actually facilitated by in-house personnel. But we do contract out a few of the specialty programs. 4% is from aquatic programs, so the Learn to Swim programs in and of itself is our largest overall program area next to the fitness classes that we offer as part of the membership. And then concessions and vending represents 4%. And again, the vast majority of that comes during the water park season. We closed last year the indoor concessions because it lost money and we didn't have a lot of people using it. Some people, but not enough to make it cost justifiable. We do still offer vending services within the facility, but otherwise concessions is outside. 96% of our total revenue comes from those 5 sources. Our top 5 expenses, and I like talking about the top 5 things because it represents such a large percentage of the budget, it really lets you know where the vast majority is going to. 52% comes from personnel. Here at the Monon Community Center, we have 18 full-time positions budgeted for 2019. 12% from utilities. That includes electric, natural gas, water and sewer, cable, phone, and trash. Every year, Mark tries to get the city to, give us a discount on the water during the budget hearings, and every year we get laughter, and then we move on. So, but anyway, we are actually looking at opportunities to reduce our electrical expenses. This year, we converted all of our metal halide lights within the Monon Community Center, as well as within the parking lot, to LEDs, and we are looking to going on a natural gas purchasing system. So that we'll be getting a much lower contracted rate and anticipate, about 30%, 24%, well over 20% savings on our natural gas. We used to be on a program that was ultimately becoming too expensive for us to manage with legal fees and other associated expenses. The programs have evolved, and before we could only have the Monon Community Center on it. Next year, when we go on it, or actually the latter part of this year, we are anticipating being able to put the entire park system on the discounted utility expenses. So I think I've done utilities to death. Repairs and maintenance represents 6% of our total budget at the Monon Community Center. That includes repair parts and contracted maintenance. For example, our HVAC preventative maintenance things at the Monon Community Center. Marketing and printing represents 4%. That's all of our print and electronic media. And our contracted janitorial services, 4% also. The top 5 expenses, 79% of the total MCC budget. Any questions on MCC? Moving on, last but not least, the Park and Recreation Facilities Fund 110. This is one that is only a 3-year-old budget that we created when the dog park came online, so that we would have, we didn't want the dog park to those numbers to inflate with the Monon Community Center or other budgets, and also knowing that we're having facilities like the new one in West Park coming online. That way, again, it doesn't cloud the MCC budget. For this one, we're projecting revenues of $134,000, expenses of $81,620. All extra proceeds that are generated from this fund are dedicated and used for future capital improvements. Actually, this fund already funded the expansion of the dog park this year by almost an additional acre, which has allowed us to add an additional 300 dogs. And by the end of this year, we will have gone completely through the wait list, and anyone interested in becoming a member of the dog park will be able to do so. They'll still have to register first, but we'll be able to accommodate the community with that 1 acre expansion. So we're excited about that. Top 5 revenues, 47% coming from dog park fees. 26% are rental fees that we received from the summer camp program for use of the Wilfong Pavilion out at Founders Park, as well as the new pavilion being constructed in West Park that will open for summer next year. 18% comes from park shelter rentals throughout the park system, and 3% comes from sponsorships predominantly at the dog park. That represents 98% of the total revenue projected for 110. The top 5 expenses, this one has no personnel expenses associated with it, so everything is in the services and supplies line, actually services line. Utilities represent 31%, and that's for utilities at the dog park, Wilfong Pavilion, and the new West Park Pavilion. 25% for grounds maintenance, which is the contracted mowing for the dog park. 15% for cleaning services, which is for Wilfong and West Park Pavilions. 11% for general repairs to the buildings as well as the dog park, and 7% for other professional fees, which again is credit card processing, bookkeeping services, and related expenses. Those represent 88% of the total 110 fund expenses. Happy to address any questions you may have.
Thank you, Michael.
Very thorough, as always. Thank you.
Well, as always, thank you very much for the support the township provides. It's certainly a wonderful partnership that the city, the township, and the park board have to provide first-class park and recreation services to the citizens of Clay Township and Carmel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Michael. So all these budgets, just for general knowledge, get submitted long before today, so we have plenty of time to look through them, send our feedback to the parks or the fire department. So, for instance, the chief is not here, but we've got this much information on his proposed budget that we have looked through.
He will be at the adoption meeting, so if something comes up, you guys can either call him,
Yep.
or he'll be at the adoption meeting also.
Okay.
Which our adoption meeting is October 23rd. That'll be our 2019 budget adoption. Next on here is conflict of interest, which is something we do annually, which protects us from if we get work, like if a company I work for should get work somewhere in the county, I've just disclosed it. The reason why we're doing it now is, as you know, we give out grant money to not-for-profits. Since the first of the year, I have been appointed to a board of directors of one of the not-for-profits, and just feel it prudent to let all know that I am on the board of directors of Janus Developmental Services, which is a program, an organization for adults with disabilities. And so should they receive money again this year, I just wanted everybody fully aware that I do sit on that board of directors and that I'm not trying to hide anything by being on their board, and should the board consensus to give them money.
And it is, I'd just like to interject, we will be giving that board money. We will be giving that organization money.
If I may, Matt, point of clarification, you're not driving any direct pecuniary interest in this anyway.
I have no pecuniary interest.
This is just, this is a.
Double protection.
Double protection, yeah, so we generally have them file even if there's no scenario where it gets into pecuniary interest, so.
Usually you would file one if I would be receiving some sort of money by something that my employer or an organization I was doing. I don't, but in today's age, want to be crystal clear and protect all of us.
It's just smart.
Do you have any? We have some newcomers to the audience. Does anybody want to say anything? And that, any financial questions?
I have none.
Board comments?
Nope.
Announcements. ITA conference is next week.
It starts Monday.
That's
Monday,
at
Tuesday,
the,
Wednesday. At the
Sheridan.
Tucson Crossing, yeah. Do we need to go back? Did you skip over action items? There are none, but did you bring it up?
I just said no action items, I
Okay,
believe.
okay.
There are
I
no
just
action
want-
items
I
this
just
evening.
want to make sure, I thought, did I miss it, or, okay.
I will hear a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned at 6:20.